All right, I'm only about 2 or 3 weeks late, but let's review Spider-Man full spoilers. All right, guys. So look, for those of you who stream or come to the streams, you guys know I actually saw Spider-Man that first day, that Thursday. And I know it's like, wait a minute, it's January 5th. You're reviewing this now? Yes, I'm reviewing it now. I was trying to catch up and had the computer that I just got that I had to set up and all this stuff, and then things got in the way and the whole school thing. And so, but actually, I think the benefit of reviewing it now is I can just talk freely. I think by now everyone has seen it. I don't have to worry about saying Spider-Man review with spoilers, and then even though I warned there's spoilers, somebody in the comment section says, you spoiled the movie. You know how it is. You know how YouTube is. People just, they don't always read the titles. Anyway, Spider-Man. Okay, look, this was a fantastic Spider-Man movie. I liked Homecoming. I liked, Far From Home. These were good movies. This not, they didn't blow me away, but they were good. They were solid. They were fun Spider-Man movies. This, however, was the Spider-Man movie. I think this movie gave people that feeling that they've wanted to feel, which is Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And, there's a whole talk about the nostalgia thing here, obviously, with Andrew Garfield coming back, Tobey Maguire coming back, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, and a lot. And I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. Look, I don't mind nostalgia. I don't mind nostalgia in my movies. If it's done correctly. And I think look, if you take The Matrix, right? You guys saw my review here, which I hammered that movie because it was bad. And then you take Spider-Man. These are two examples of nostalgia, one done wrong, one done right. And I think, with here's my girl again. What are you doing? What are you doing? Every time I record, she comes around. She wants attention. The reason this was done right is because you took these characters from the past, but you incorporated them into a story that had a lot of meaning. And I think that's what did this movie well. Now, look, we criticize nostalgia. I think there are definitely moments where criticizing nostalgia in movies is very valid. Obviously, like I said, The Matrix, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which I still like as a movie overall. But I get it. It was basically A New Hope retold for the most part. This is not any of the older Spider-Man movies retold. This is clearly a MCU Peter Parker story. And this is very much in line with like Civil War. A lot of people saw in Civil War, the trailer, this looks like Avengers 2.0. But you watch the movie and it's clearly a Steve Rogers Captain America movie. Same thing here. Yes, you get the Green Goblin from the past. Yes, you get Dr. Octopus from the past. Yes, Spider-Man from The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield both come back. But this is still Tom Holland, Peter Parker's story. And it is a fabulous one. And what's amazing about this movie is how dark it can get, how emotionally it can hit you, because there's some things that happen in this movie. Obviously, with the death of Aunt May, that was probably the most surprising thing to me. We knew we were going to see Green Goblin and those guys. Everybody had a very strong hunch that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in it. So that wasn't a huge surprise, although it was still very exciting. Some of the theater reactions from those moments is absolutely great to watch. My theater was no different. They went crazy. So, when you take into account about all these past characters coming in, it's easy to think, nostalgia bait, but it doesn't work that way. I think a lot of you would agree after watching the movie, that's not how it went down. But yeah, Aunt May's death was the biggest shock to me, and that's the part of the movie that I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And what's more amazing is when she did tell Peter Parker, when she did tell him, with great power comes, it felt so right. It was amazing that they took that line that has been already done before. People meme on it. People always talk about it. And at that moment, it didn't feel repetitive. It didn't feel wrong. It didn't feel forced. It felt so natural and so organic, and it was so emotionally impactful. I got to be honest, it's probably, of all the Spider-Man movies, that moment saying that line to me had the biggest impact out of all the movies. It was very, very, like, I was sitting in the theater, it was like, wow, a little tear coming down my eye because, I was feeling it. It was also very dark, this movie. There was some very dark moments, and these dark moments were always surrounding the Green Goblin. I mean, that moment in the apartment complex when Goblin and Spidey are fighting, and you just see the face of Willem Dafoe. You could see like his insanity as the Goblin. It was scary. I mean, there's that one part where he's pounding on the Goblin and he's just looking up at him and he's smiling, and I'm like, wow, that is scary. Imagine you have these superhuman powers, you're giving all your force into this guy and he's smiling at you. That is absolutely insane. I do love how they kind of incorporated the comic book Green Goblin look naturally into Defoe's character. It was kind of cool how they did that. They set it up slowly, and then before you know it, in that scene in the apartment complex when he jumps on the glider, you see the hood, the purple, and I'm like, oh wow, they pulled that off so organically. It was so well done. Obviously, seeing Toby and Andrew was a phenomenal thing, and my favorite scene is when they all are kind of web swinging together, and they all do their signature land. Toby does the squat with his two hands next to each other. Andrew does his little stand like that. And then obviously Tom Holland does his little, so it was really good stuff. It was an amazing movie. It really was. A lot of people talk about ranking the Spider-Man movies now. This one's definitely up there. I still have Spider-Man 2 as my number one. I don't think any Spider-Man movie will ever surpass that. This one was close, but the reason I would give the edge to Spider-Man 2 is because as good as this movie was, they still relied heavily on prior characters from prior movies to kind of take it to a new level. Now, what this movie did do was set up a whole new trilogy that I think is coming. This Spider-Man now this Tom Holland Spider-Man has officially become Spider-Man. This everything he's gone through. He can no longer be with MJ. He lost his aunt. Off screen, he's lost his uncle. He lost Tony. This Spider-Man has actually suffered more loss than the other two. And now he's coming into this world on his own. No family, essentially no friends, not even from the Avengers. People know Spider-Man, but now nobody knows who Peter Parker is. But this allows the MCU and Sony, hopefully if they keep their deal going, to basically develop a new trilogy with this Spider-Man who's already, it was like a coming of age story in many respects. And I'm very excited to see where they take Spider-Man going forward. This movie did a fantastic job of really showing growth and really kind of making you have a revelation when you really sit back and think, wow, this Peter Parker has gone through a lot of shit, but they finally played it in a more serious tone. You know what I mean? Yeah, there were some moments where I kind of was like, all right, well, Aunt May just died like 10 minutes ago and he's already cracking jokes with these guys. But, again, that can be forgiven for the broader picture, for the the big picture, the big story there. Now, what's more interesting is how this kind of, even though you didn't get a lot of Doctor Strange in this movie, which is a good thing, I think. A lot of people were like, oh, well, Doctor Strange wasn't really in it that much. I'm kind of happy with that. I didn't want to see too much Doctor Strange. We got more than enough of him. I felt we got more than enough of Toby and Andrew. And I really liked how the Green Goblin really ended up being the primary villain here. Jamie Foxx was a lot of fun to see back, don't get me wrong. And obviously Dr. Octopus, everybody loves seeing Alfred Molina. Alfred Molina is like peeled off the page, man. But the Green Goblin was really, Willem Dafoe's really made that character his own. It is amazing how he came back into that character. And not only did he continue it like he just did it yesterday, he actually did it better. He was much more, in my opinion, much more cynical, much more evil in this movie than he was in the first Spider-Man movie. And I'm not going to lie, I hope to see him again. I hope somehow, some way. It'd be a shame not to see Willem Dafoe back on screen as the Green Goblin. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, look, Spider-Man No Way Home was a fantastic experience. My kids loved it. My son my poor son bawled his eyes out when Aunt May died. He took that hard. I mean, he really took it hard. I went to see it with my parents and my kids, and my mother had to console him, like hold him in the theater. He had a hard time with that. So and you know, it's a tough scene. It's tough. You know, he's seen the other Spider-Man movies, and he's seen Civil War, so he knows that Aunt May's been around. He knows that Aunt May's been a key figure in Peter Parker's life. So he took it hard, and I don't blame him. That's a tough scene. It's a scene nobody expected, especially when she got up after the fact. You know, you think, okay, maybe she'll make it, and then she just kind of collapses. Yeah, that was tough. But overall, Spider-Man Far From Home was just, No Way Home was a fantastic movie. A great ending to this MCU Spider-Man trilogy, and hoping we get more. And I think we will. The new suit looks pretty good. I will say, for such a great movie and such a great step forward for Tom Holland's Peter Parker, the ending swing sequence was pretty underwhelming. When you look back at some of the other Spider-Man movies and the ending sequences with him swinging through the city, this one kind of sucked. If I'm going to be critical, I'm like, you got to make it a little bit more dramatic. You got to make it a little bit longer. And I don't know. But it's all good. You know, I mean, I know I'm not the only one. I felt that way. There were a couple of people who said the same thing. You know, it was like, oh man, for all that stuff that happened, just to have that little swinging thing, and I wanted to see him really soar through the city in that new suit. But either way, that doesn't take away from the fact that this was one of the best MCU movies in recent times, and definitely one of the best Spider-Man movie ever made, but still for me personally, not the best ever. I still think Spider-Man 2 is number one within the Spider-Man movies, and that's that. So in terms of the end credits, I don't know what they're doing with Venom. Obviously, we're going to see Venom in the MCU because a little piece of the symbiote got left behind, but otherwise, I thought it was pretty ridiculous that he was brought in, but then now he got sucked back out. And a lot of people were saying, well, wait a minute, there's a little bit of a gap there because he never really knew who Peter Parker was. And that's true. That's a good point. I don't think that's something that's going to be rectified, so we'll just have to live with it. But anyway, guys, that's it. I finally got my Spider-Man review done. Look, we got a lot of things coming. All right, we have, I am going to be streaming tonight. For those of you who are interested, come around. Thursday night, I will be on Fat Samurai Guy's channel. We're going to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 4. And then Friday, I'm going to be streaming my top 5 movies of 2021 and my top 5 shitty movies of 2021. I know these are a little late, but better late than never. And we're going to go from there. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comment section how you felt about Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought it was great. I love it. I can't wait to own it so I can watch it over and over and over. And I'll be checking those out. Until next video, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.